Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I just want to make a quick video on how I am refinishing our table. Recently just updated the dining room. That piece of furniture will also be updated soon, but basically just want to make a video. I'm going to take this table, going to refinish it. So the top is going to be a dark stain, and then the legs are going to be painted white. For the chairs are going to be all white except for the seat, which will be a dark stain as well. So stay tuned and I will have step-by-step instructions on how this is done. Alright guys, so basically the next step is refinishing the chairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand the seat, the spindles, and the bottom of it. After that we'll hit it with a coat of paint, and then we will stain the seat once that paint is dry. So this is basically before we've done anything to it. And then I went ahead and I already finished one of the chairs to see if my wife liked it. It turned out really well, so stay tuned and we'll get this going. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm using this 3M 220 sandpaper. Chair's not nicked up or anything, so we just need to take that finish off to give the paint something to adhere to, as well as the stain. So what I'm going to do is I'll set you guys up on a tripod. I'll start sanding the spindles, just kind of showing you guys the light sanding process that I do, and then after that we will start painting after we mask off the seat, and then after that's dry then we'll stain the seat, let that dry for probably give it 24 hours, and then after that we'll hit it with some clear. Alright, so now that we have the chairs all sanded, what we want to do is take an old shop rag. Basically what we're going to do is going to wipe off all the dust, and from the steel wool you'll see like fine pieces of steel. So what we'll do is, like I said, we'll take this, we'll wipe off all the sawdust, and then I like to go over it with some mineral spirits just to make sure all the contaminants are gone before we start to paint and stain. So I'll wipe these down real quick, and then we'll get to masking off and painting. Alright, so now that the chairs are all wiped down, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and mask off the seat, get it ready, so that way we can start painting the top spindles, the bottom of the chair, and then once that's done and dry, like I said, I like to give that 24 hours. Once that's done, we'll take the masking tape off, and then we'll go ahead and stain the seat. here we go. Alright, so we got the first chair masked off around the spindles. I know I use a little more masking tape than I'd like, but I want this to look good. I usually put something in the middle to cover large spaces like that, and then just tape around it so that way I'm not using up even more tape. So what I'll do now is I'll mask up the other 3 chairs, and then we're ready for some paint. Alright guys, so what I did next was I went ahead and masked off the seat of all the chairs. One thing I did want to mention was, I tried this on mine, is if you flip the chairs over, there's a bolt right there and a bolt on the other side. Basically it'll take the back of this chair off. Now the only problem I had was the spindles up here would turn and are somewhat loose, but here in the seat, my chair, they were glued and they had like a finishing nail down in the bottom of them, so I couldn't remove it. That would have saved a lot of time if I could pop those out. You know what I mean? To pull this off, all I would have had to done then is just flip this base over and mask the sides of the seat, and then I could have just painted this up here and had this painted. But since that didn't work for me, I just went ahead and I masked off around all the spindles. And so the next step is painting. So what I did on the first chair was I used some of this Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover. It's paint and primer in one. It's a matte finish. So we're gonna go ahead and start painting. What I'll do is I'll let these dry outside for a little bit longer. I'll put them in my garage, and then tomorrow I'll peel off all this masking tape that are on these, and then we'll be ready to stain. So that'll be the next part. Alright, so the chairs are painted. I took the masking tape off of the seat. So this is kind of what they look like. You'll see I added some masking tape on the bottom of the spindles, getting it ready for the stain. It's just because I don't want any stain on the spindle, so protecting it as much as I can was important. So basically I have all of them masked off, ready for the stain on the seats. So that's next. Alright, so the chairs are painted and stained. What we're going to do next is the table. So I went ahead and I already sanded the table down. I put some masking tape on there so I don't get the top painted, since we only want the top to be stained. So anyway, so I already sanded this down. I need to wipe it down, get all the sawdust off, and then it has one drawer that's already sanded as well. So I'm going to give that a coat of paint, and then I'll bring you guys right back. Alright, so hit this with 3 coats of paint. Turned out really well. It's kind of windy again today, so I had to move the drawer inside the table so that way it didn't blow off my work stands. But yeah, 3 coats of paint. I'll let it sit out here in the sun for a little bit longer, and then I'll move it into the garage. Next step is to clear the chairs tomorrow. And then I'll clear the table, or actually I'll stain the top of the table tomorrow, and then when that's done, we'll clear as well. Alright, so the sides and bottom are painted, so what we're going to do is stain the top of this with 220 again, and then we're going to hit it with some stain. Alright, so hit the table with a couple coats of stain here. Looks pretty good. The darkness my wife wanted, so we'll let that dry, and then I think the next thing we'll do is we'll move back to the chairs. The stain is dry. I went ahead and took the masking tape off the spindles, so we're going to hit that up with some clear now, and then let those dry, and then the chairs will be done. Alright, so hit the chairs with a couple coats of clear. It turned out really well, actually. A quick little project. This was pretty fun. Like I said, I'm gonna let that stain soak on that probably till tomorrow, and at that point then I'll clear the table and the legs, and then move all the furniture back into the dining room. Alright, so the table and chairs are done. Went ahead and brought them in a day after I stained, and then cleared the table top and the legs. This is how it turned out. It looks really well. The one thing I did do on the top of the table was I had this here, so I used some Minwax paste finishing wax. I just gave it a light coat. It says to wax it on let it set for 10 to 15 minutes and polish with a clean cloth. So that's what I did. This project turned out real well. My wife's impressed, so